All right, let's start with this. A massive infrastructure rollout program will be used to revive the South African economy. President Cyril Ramaphosa says COVID-19 has fractured economies. For more on this, I'm joined by SABC News reporter Samkele Maseko. Joining me now, Samkele, tell us more, firstly, about this grand plan around infrastructure.
Well, Francis, the government is essentially saying through the head of infrastructure investment in the office of the presidency, Dr. Cyril Ramaphosa, that the state needs to roll out a bulk, huge infrastructure projects around the country in order to stimulate the fractured and ailing South African economy further destroyed by this particular pandemic, COVID-19. President Ramaphosa saying that all governments across the world will be centralized around infrastructure development in their countries in order to stimulate their economies post and during this COVID-19 pandemic. One of the investment envoys in the invoice of President Cyril Ramaphosa, saying that South Africa needs to have flagship projects which they can advocate to the world in showing them what the nation can do with these particular infrastructure projects, and that these infrastructure projects cannot only be funded by government alone, that due to that the fiscus is constrained and the fiscus headroom and the technical and engineering headspace of government has been constrained and dilapidated over a number of years. President Cyril Ramaphosa saying that this will serve a particular interest in, but not only in social development of the people in providing low-cost social housing, but it will also be there when it comes to agro-processing and filtering through to various other sectors such as the transportation system in the country. So this bulk infrastructure project is going to be a collaboration between the private sector and government.
Yeah, we have a little problem with the coffers running dry, Samkele. And today, I mean, the unemployment stats were announced already staggeringly high, and we haven't even seen the impact of the lockdown. Did the president put any figures, give any hope in terms of job creation here?
At this point in time, the president and the team of ministers and premiers that were in this particular meeting, along with Kodongwane of the Southern African Development Bank, and then you've had the likes of Black Business Council led by its president Sandile Zungu. Yakmare was also there. Business Unity South Africa was also there. They never put any figures when it comes to the number of job creation that will be created. President Cyril Ramaphosa saying those figures would later on be unveiled by the head of infrastructure investment in the office of the presidency, Dr. Cyril Ramaphosa, in collaboration with the minister in the presidency, Jackson Mthembu. But there's also hope that in the days to come, President Cyril Ramaphosa, when he addresses the nation on an extended package for COVID-19, will encompass about 55 of these particular infrastructure bulk projects that have been already approved by the South African cabinet. He will give the number of monies or billions that will be spent in these infrastructure projects, and that will escalate in the various ministers coming into the fore and speaking on how these various infrastructure projects are going to create long-term and sustainable jobs for South Africans. But what we do also know is that out of the 270 infrastructure projects that are already there, 55 of them will be are in fact shovel ready. In the words of Dr. Cyril Ramaphosa and President Cyril Ramaphosa, they should be breaking ground within the next 3 months, and then the other projects will come in time. And that President Ramaphosa also going as far as to saying that the Minister of Public Works, Patricia de Lille, is ready to already gazette these particular 55 projects that will come on stream and will be working and are shovel ready within the next 3 months. But effectively, the main thrust of these infrastructure projects is to stimulate the economy, is to get the various construction, cement and steel companies working again, and to stimulate them that they are able to create jobs for South Africans. But those jobs should not be short-term, but long-term and sustainable.
Very quickly, Samkele, we're running out of time. South Africa has been on these infrastructural drives before. We've heard of jobs being promised before. What's different this time? Is maybe that the key, a public-private partnership, or what did the president say?
What is essentially new now is that there is this new bromance, if one may say, between the private sector and government. for instance, President Cyril Ramaphosa saying that this newly rekindled relationship between the private sector and government should be optimized and used to its maximum, and that they do know that financial muscle, particularly within the private sector, is a bit constrained right now, and that resources globally are not reachable or that accessible due to this particular pandemic of COVID-19. But there seems to be this new thrust, this new good and cordial working relationship between the private sector and government, and they are hoping to optimize on this particular relationship. But the president of Black Business Council, Sandile Zungu, raised a very interesting matter where he said that in the past, all bulk infrastructure projects of government have been that marginalized by malfeasance and also marginalization, that Black business is marginalized and they do not get a share of the cake or of this particular projects, and that should change, and they need also to be included as they seek to transform the South African economy. President Cyril Ramaphosa has been coming out and speaking very clearly that post-COVID-19, a new social economic landscape that is more inclusive must emerge, and they seem to be spearheading particularly this new economy with collaboration of Black business as well within these bulk infrastructure projects. For instance, if you were to go to the build-up to the 2010 World Cup, we had the likes of PG Mavundla Construction taking government to court over the construction of the Moses Mabhida Stadium, saying they were left out in those particular projects, and they were largely given to the top 5 construction companies in the country.
Thank you so much for that outline, and we'll see if the Finance Minister mentions those key infrastructure projects tomorrow. That was SABC News reporter Samkele Maseko.